Start by downloading all 6 of your drawings. If you haven't completed all 6, you can complete the missing drawings now and scan them to your email. Open Photoshop using the Adobe Creative Cloud app. You'll create a document using the New File button, the print category, and the tabloid size. As always, use your name and the assignment name, in this case, Elements. Click Create. And now bring your documents, your drawings, using the Finder. They'll probably be in the Downloads folder. You can click and drag to select multiple files and drag them over. You'll need to confirm each image as it's being placed. Click the check mark. Until you have all 6 drawings. I'm adjusting my layers panels, or my panels over here, so I can see my history and some other panels. I'm going to make my background layer invisible so that I can see the white space of the page, because the first thing I want to do is select the good part of the drawing and then press Command J to make a copy of that selection. You can see here I layer via copy. Then I can make the original invisible and use the Move tool to set that copy aside. This is how we will crop or trim each drawing. And then after you've trimmed it, you notice I went up to Image and Auto Tone. You'll see that again on the next one. The Marquee tool makes a rectangle to select. Once you've made that rectangle, you can't resize it. So you just have to make a new one if you made the wrong size rectangle. Don't worry about extra parts like your name or words that you want to erase later. I'll show you how to do that. Layer via copy, image, auto tone, and then I would move it to the side. We're going to repeat this process essentially for most of these drawings. If your drawings don't represent a nice rectangle like this, we might be able to use a different method. Always going to want to auto tone to help correct for that scan. Command J to make a copy or to duplicate. Auto tone. Now for my space drawing, I'm going to use Select Subject. So I can select just the main drawing. Press Command J. And then make the original invisible. Auto tone, and set it aside. This one I am also doing the auto color because I didn't like the change that the auto tone gave it. Change the orders of the layers in the layers panel to change the order of the layers on the canvas. Command J, auto tone, and now I have my 6 drawings all trimmed and ready to edit. Now for each drawing, I'm going to want to do something different, and I want to work on each drawing one at a time. You can use the bars on the bottom and the side to navigate. The sidebar might be hidden underneath a panel. Click and drag and you can scroll through and make multiple layers invisible using the eyeball. I've found my line drawing, which I'll start with. I'm going to use the magic wand, which is with the object selection tool. I'm going to deselect contiguous, which means it won't respect the lines. And when I click on the white space, I've selected all of the white space, enabled me to delete it, just pressing delete on the keyboard. And now I'm left with just my pencil markings. I can use the eraser tool, change it to block, a little more easy to control, and I use the eraser tool to erase my name. I'm going to zoom in to 50% and erase the words that I don't want to see here. The circle is just showing you when I click with my mouse, but you won't see the circle when you erase. Now I'm going to add an effect. In this case, I'm going to try a stroke, which is an outline, and it'll trace around the lines that are on the page. Adjust the window so you can see what you want to see. I'm going to try a gradient. These menus are all full of choices of colors. I'm going to send that stroke to the outside so that we can see it. And you can see it's going around the lines. And then I'm going to change it to shape burst because I like this effect, the way it traces the line. Sometimes. Changed it back to the linear so it fades from the purple to the green. Now I'm going to go to that fill layer, to the blending options, and I'm lowering the opacity to 0 so you can't see the pencil lines and you're left only with the stroke going around the empty space. I'm going to add a little drop shadow here to darken behind those lines. Adjust the settings. You can do whatever you like with any of your drawings. My demonstration here is just a suggestion. If you get a good idea and you don't know how to do it, ask for help. Tell me what you're trying to do. Once I've edited one of my drawings, I'm going to make it smaller and set it aside and move on to the next one. Once I made it smaller, I realized I wanted to adjust that shadow and the stroke a little bit more. To get back into that blending options, I just double click on the settings, on the effects in the layers panel. You can work on the drawings in any order. The elements don't actually have an order, but for our purposes on the assignments, we did them in line, shape, form, space, color, and texture. So I think I'm going to rearrange mine into that order. You don't have to do that unless you want to. All right, so my second one for shape. Again, I'm going to make everything invisible so I can focus on just the one. And again, you can choose what's the best thing to do for your own drawing. In this case, I'm going to recheck contiguous because I do want it to respect the lines. And I'm going to delete the white space around the shapes. And then I'm going to use the paint bucket tool. You might not see it. Well, first I'm going to erase my name and any other writing on there. Then I'm going to use the paint bucket tool, which if you don't see it, it's with the gradient tool. You click and hold on that and you'll find your paint bucket. The paint bucket, I'm going to make sure is checked for contiguous, and I choose my color on the bottom of the tools bar, click with the arrow, not the bucket, I'm going to use a variety of colors, but again, that's just my own artistic choice. You can do whatever idea you come up with. I've noticed that this triangle isn't getting it filled, so I'm tracing it with the lasso tool so I can select a specific area and the paint bucket will just fill that area. Command Z to go back, or look at your history panel. For my shape design, I want to edit it in Photoshop so that the shapes stand out. Command Z to go back or use the history panel. When you're in the color picker, you can also use the eyedropper tool automatically to find a color that's already on the page and reselect it. Once you've done enough to edit your drawings, move on to the next one. Command minus to zoom out, Command plus to zoom in, and Command 0 will reset your screen. For my form drawing, I notice here that I have trimmed it too much at some point, I'll notice. You see that box on the bottom there, I made a mistake. So first, I'm going to try to fill this. That magic wand selected one area, but it's missing the area in the window. So in the options bar, I clicked on the two boxes to make it add to selection. Notice I'm using the render, so it's filter, render clouds, and that's going to be based on whatever colors I have there. So filter, render, clouds. Experiment with any of these ideas. Definitely don't have to copy my ideas. Now I'm noticing that I made a mistake. Oops. So I'm going to go back, get my original drawing, and retrim it. Make sure you're selected on the image in the layers panel that you're trying to manipulate. This time I'll make sure I get all four boxes. Command J. Auto tone. Well, I'm going to adjust the layers. I can delete the old one. Make sure you're selected on the layer you're trying to adjust. Image, auto tone, and then I think I was going to do the image auto color on that one. Now I'm going to use the same process again, making sure I'm on the add to selection option so I can select multiple spaces. Then I'm going to render clouds. The option that I just did is going to be at the top, so I can use that as a shortcut. For the bottom, I'm going to use the paint bucket again, but this time instead of using the foreground color, I'm going to switch to a pattern. And I can choose a pattern here of grass to fill that. Filling the ground and sky in your forms will help enhance the sense of 3D. All right, so for space, I decided I'm going to just use one of the filters in the filter gallery. Again, you can do the same as me, or you can come up with your own idea. Make sure your space drawing still looks like it has overlapping. So I'll look through a few different options, but I don't want to choose one that's going to eliminate the illusion. So some of these filters are not going to be helpful. You can adjust the settings and see if that makes a difference. Picked a filter, pressed OK. Now I'm done with my space drawing. I can move on. Each drawing, you're going to decide what you want to do based on what's in the drawing. Make sure you're still preserving the original elements of the drawing. For color, I'm going to use the adjustment for hue and saturation and just increase my saturation. Be careful not to adjust the hue because that will change the colors and could mess up your color schemes. You can use any tools to edit, adjust. Remember Command Z if you need to go back. Command Z when you make a mistake. You can see the lines don't go all the way over there. Moving on to texture. Again, it's really going to depend on what you have present in your drawing and what you want to do to it. I decided to delete the sky so I could have some transparency there. Again, I'm using the eraser tool. The magic wand will just help make sure you're isolating exactly what you want if you're trying to fill something. Make sure in your texture drawing you preserve the textures that you created and choose whatever you want it to do. The paint bucket has a tolerance level, so if you keep filling too much space, you could try lowering that, and it will help you find those edges a little bit better. Once you've edited all 6 drawings, you're not quite done. Remember, the paint bucket fills with the tip of the arrow, not the actual bucket. Command minus to zoom out, Command plus to zoom in. Arrange your 6 drawings so they all fit on the page. Again, it doesn't matter what order. If you find it hard to pick up a layer, start to transform it and it will make it easier to move. The next step is adding a shape to be used as a background and frame for each drawing. You can use the fill and the stroke on the appearance on the properties panel, or you can add colors and strokes using the FX on the layers panel. You can use the same frame for all 6 drawings, or you can change the frames depending on the style. Each drawing does have to have a background and frame using a shape. I'll try to demonstrate several different ways. But again, you could use the same frame for multiple drawings if you choose. If you select the background layer before you create a shape, that shape will be made right above the background layer and you won't have to adjust it. In this case, I'll use the FX. You choose whatever you want for your backgrounds. And the frame. You can use any shape you like. Any combination of colors that you think works best for your design. Use effects to help make the frames stand out. Double click on an effect in the layers panel to make an adjustment. In order to move multiple layers at the same time, using the Move tool, you can click and drag to select 2 layers and they'll be temporarily stuck together. If you press the Link button in the Layers panel, it will link the layers so that when you select them, they'll move together. So I'm going to link all my pictures with their frames by clicking and dragging, making sure I'm just selecting those 2 layers together and linking the 2 in the Layers panel. In addition to the frames, each drawing will need to be labeled with the element of art that it represents. Again, each label can have the same appearance, or they can all be different depending on your style. Choose a font. Make sure you never use Myriad Pro. That's the font that the computer selects and demonstrates making no choice as an artist. Just like your typography design, you can use the layer style effects to enhance your labels. Label each drawing, line, shape, form, space, color, and texture. I've selected my whole design and made it all smaller together so I can rearrange the page and give myself some room for a title. Arrange all your components, so drawings, the labels, everything should be arranged in a way that you think looks best. Unlock the background layer by pressing on the lock on the layers panel, and then add a color or gradient overlay. I'm adding a texture to my background as well. That's certainly optional if you choose. The background can look however you want. This should help make your drawing stand out.
Good stuff.
Don't import an image from Google. Only use Photoshop to create the background. If you've got an idea for something that you want, and you don't know how to do it, that's a great time to ask a question. Once you have everything in place and arranged just how you like it, make sure you add your name to the bottom right corner. Take a look at your finished work. Make sure everything is as you like it. Save your work. Hopefully saving it in the Creative Cloud folder, always your name and the assignment. Then you're going to export it with File, Export, Quick Export. Again, checking the where so you know where to find it to turn it in on Google Classroom.